Proud to serve northeastern and central Pennsylvania. This is WNEP 16, the news station. Now, Frank Andrews, Dorothy Lucy, meteorologist Noreen Clark, and Jay Kristopher on sports. This is Newswatch 16 Midday.
We have the very latest on the giardiasis problem, facing northeastern Pennsylvania. Some area lawmakers are hoping to meet with officials from Pennsylvania Gas and Water Company tomorrow to find out what else the utility company can do to try and clear up the situation. Yesterday, those lawmakers met with environmental officials to talk about giardiasis and the outbreak in the area. Officials say the chronic flu-like disease may be caused by water from PG&W Springbrook Reservoir. Some lawmakers want PG&W to do something else about the situation.
I think that Pennsylvania Gas and Water Company must act responsibly and notify the public just exactly what the situation is and give full cooperation.
Now, the lawmakers are also looking into the possibility of customers withholding payment of their water bills because of the giardiasis problem in the area. PG&W officials say they are taking some steps to deal with the problem. In fact, they say they've increased the number of water quality tests that are being done at the Springbrook Reservoir in Lackawanna County. Officials say the tests will show early signs of sewage contamination, but will not detect the giardiasis parasite. Officials also say that recent tests at the Springbrook facility and other PG&W water facilities have not shown any unusual changes. You know, it's some environmental officials that are saying that the giardiasis bug is being caused by raw sewage that's emptying into the water supply. Last night on Newswatch 16, we told you that Roaring Brook Township officials say sewage from the Roaring Brook Estate sewage treatment plant dumps into a creek that ultimately empties into the Springbrook Reservoir. Well, last night, Newswatch 16's Bob Costantini talked with township officials about solving that problem.
The fight against giardiasis in the Wyoming Area School District could hit the district hard and right in the pocketbook. 5 of the district's 6 schools, including...
We'll have that story for you in just a moment. Unfortunately, the wrong tape was ready to play. Newswatch 16 Midday continues in just a moment when Action 16 reporter Gerry Gartenburg will have part 2 of his series on the changes at the phone company. Today, he'll talk about saving money on long-distance calls. We'll be right back with that story as Newswatch 16 Midday continues.
PM Magazine Christmas Special, tomorrow at 7.
Welcome back, everyone, to Newswatch 16 Midday. We have that report right now about the possibility of raw sewage in the Roaring Brook Township area emptying into a creek that ultimately spills into the Springbrook Reservoir. Here's Newswatch 16's Bob Costantini with more.
The Roaring Brook Estate sewage treatment plant serves over 50 homes. The small plant in Roaring Brook Township sends its runoff into Green Run Creek. The sewage treatment plant is up through these trees, and this is where the Green Run Creek runs down to Springbrook Reservoir. Standing here, the creek has the unmistakable smell of sewage. Roaring Brook Township Supervisor Ron Boyer uses a map to show how the creek runs from the housing development down towards Springbrook Reservoir. The bankrupt owners from Philadelphia are said to be offering the plant to the township for a $1 sale price. Township officials are expected to take that offer.
The plan we have submitted with DER is for the township to take over the plant, right, upgrade it to the latest possible efficiency so there's no effluent, emitted from the plant. We knew the plant was not operating at 100% efficiency, right, but it's not brought to our attention by DER or anyone that there was raw sewage going into the creek.
Boyer says it'll cost at least $150,000 to modify the plant, and it would take time.
You're probably looking at 2 years before that system is corrected and monies are in place to do the correction. And Roaring Brook Township is actually operating the plant.
Roaring Brook Township sewage treatment plan is now approved by DER. Supervisor Boyer tells us the purchase of the Roaring Brook Estates treatment plant is tops on the list of priorities here. Bob Costantini, Newswatch 16, Roaring Brook Township.
And now we continue part 2 of a special Action 16 series called the Ma Bell Breakup. Will it break you? Remember yesterday, Action 16 reporter Gerry Gartenburg told us that we can save some money by buying our phone instead of renting it. That's if we shop wisely. Today, in the second part of his series, he can talk about how we can also save money on long-distance calling. Jerry is here with us now with some explanation. Hello, Jerry.
Hi, Frank. You know, Frank, just a few years ago, there was only one long-distance company, AT&T, and they set the rates we paid for our long-distance calls, and most of us still use AT&T for long-distance. But now, 4 other companies in our area offer long-distance service, so it's up to us to choose our long-distance company. Well, I know what you're thinking. Can any of these companies save me money? Besides AT&T, there's Sprint, MCI, ITT, and Telesaver. Most folks in our area can now use any of these companies to make calls from Pennsylvania to another state. Those out-of-state calls can really cost you, but the new long-distance companies are grabbing our attention with promises to save us money.
What on earth are you crying for?
Have you seen our long-distance bill?
If your long-distance bills are too much, call MCI. Sure, reach out and touch someone. Just do it for a whole lot less.
Hate to see you waste your money. Call Sprint. You'll feel better. You will.
We called all of the long-distance companies to find out how much you'd pay for a 5-minute call from Wilkes-Barre to 4 major cities. MCI, ITT, Telesaver, and Sprint all save you money over AT&T on calls to those cities. And you'll save money no matter when you make your call. If you call Houston between 5 and 11 p.m., AT&T will charge you $1.46 for talking 5 minutes. The rates for the other companies are lower. Or how about a 5-minute call from Wilkes-Barre to New York between 11 p.m. and 8 a.m.? Again, the new companies are cheaper than AT&T. One caution, though, each of the new long-distance companies, except Sprint, makes you pay a monthly charge. And Telesaver also charges a startup fee. So, if you only make a few long-distance calls a month, you might not save a whole lot. In our survey, Telesaver offered the lowest rates overall, but you may do better with a different company depending on the cities or towns you call. All of the new long-distance companies in our area offer lower rates for out-of-state calls than does AT&T. So if you can save money with one of those long-distance companies, why use AT&T?
There's more than just the cost of a call. The quality is very, very important. You get what you pay for. It's very important to the average telephone consumer that when they have a conversation, that they have good transmission, it's not interrupted, and of course, it's a fact that you can call from anywhere to anywhere using AT&T services. And I guess there are some questions in some people's mind as to whether that's really a fact using some of our competitor services.
Hello, how are you?
The new long-distance companies do restrict you from calling certain places. MCI won't let you call Alaska. With Telesaver, you can't call Hawaii or Alaska. And ITT will only connect you to calls in 113 cities and surrounding towns. So, what if your new phone company won't let you call the town you want? Well, you can still use AT&T for that call and save on the other long-distance calls you make. If you want to sign up with one of the new long-distance phone services, you need to have the right kind of phone. And believe it or not, it's all a matter of how your phone sounds. Now, if your phone sounds like this, or like this, you're out of luck. You need to find a phone that sounds like this. Those are called touch-tone phones. If you buy or rent a touch-tone phone, your local phone company will bill you $1 extra a month. But of course, you'll still save money on your long-distance calls. Now, while you may save money on your long-distance, chances are you'll be spending more on local calls, but there could be some help in sight for those who can't afford local phone service. More on that tomorrow in the final part of our series.
I want to ask you a question before you go. You get one of these series and you can call, outside the state, but suppose that I want to call Pittsburgh or somewhere in Pennsylvania. What happens?
Right. Well, that's easy. You dial a call just like you always do, and you'll continue to be billed by AT&T for those long-distance calls within the state.
Thank you. We'll look forward to your report tomorrow. Thank you, Jerry. Well, talking about money, looks like you may be paying more for heat soon because the January thaw seems to be over. We may even get some snow. When we come back, our meteorologist, Noreen Clark, will have all the weather details from the backyard as Newswatch 16 Midday continues.
Giardiasis, not a drop to drink, tomorrow.
Welcome back, everyone, to Newswatch 16 Midday. The city of Scranton has a plan in the works to save some money on the heating bills, and it won't burn up the taxpayers either. Officials from an energy company in Alabama met with officials from city and county government in Scranton yesterday, and they say they can come up with a system that can cut down on energy costs in many of the municipal buildings. But first, the buildings have to be checked out just a little bit by the consultants.
The first thing we do is to start tracking the utilities, building by building, department by department, month by month, ascertaining if they're being billed properly, are they on the right rate schedules. From there, we can then determine what facilities, if any, are prospects to do some cost containment measures.
If the city of Scranton signs the contract, the energy savings will be split between both county and city government and save the taxpayers some money. Let's find out if the temperatures are going down drastically. Hello, Noreen.
Hi, Frank. No, they're not going to go down drastically, Frank, but we may have snow develop early tomorrow morning, and that's good for the Russian Christmas, which is celebrated tomorrow, but that's bad for the morning rush hour. Outside right now, under cloudy skies, where there are a few peaks of sunshine trying to break out, it's 37 degrees, and that's colder than what we had at 6 o'clock this morning. 85% relative humidity is high. The wind is out of the southwest at 7 miles per hour, and that barometer is steady. And in the Newswatch 16 color satellite, it confirms what we already know. The Commonwealth is socked in by clouds. And along with these clouds, there are some peaks of sunshine trying to break out. And there is also some spritzes and sprinkles widely scattered throughout the state, along with some flakes. And our weather pattern has set us up with a continuous flow of unsettled weather. Yesterday's unsettled weather is now moving off the East Coast. Today's unsettled weather of cloudiness is due to a weak front that's over New York State, and for tomorrow we're looking at a warm front that's now entering into the Great Lakes region. It's going to move to the east and bring us some snow early tomorrow morning, and not last but not least, there is a storm that's entering into the Pacific Northwest, and that'll move east for early on Sunday. So our weather pattern is moving from the Pacific Northwest through the northern plains and then dipping down into the northeast. And what this provides us with is temperatures that will not be extremely cold, but they're not going to be warm either, because we're not going to see much sunshine. And checking the forecast for this afternoon, we're going to look for plenty of clouds because they're here. You could see some brightness in the sky because of the sun trying to break through, but it won't. It'll continue to be cloudy. There could be a few spritzes, sprinkles, and flakes around. Up in New Milford, 34 degrees for a high. Laughlin, 38. Down in Hazleton, 34 degrees. Sealings Grove, 37, and Jersey Shore, 36 degrees. The winds out of the west, southwest at about 8 miles per hour. And looking to tonight, well, we're looking for a cloudy night most of the night, and snow late coming in after midnight. In Ulster, a low overnight, 28 degrees. Up in the mountains of Wayne County, Orson, 26 for low. Edwardsville, here in this area, 32 degrees. In Linden, out there, 32. And Atlas down in Northumberland County, 29 degrees. And I don't expect the snow to be extremely heavy. I'll talk about that in the forecast. And as far as the health watch, it's an average day ahead. If you're headed out for a swim meet, you'll do well because your reflexes are high, but most other categories are just average. And checking that forecast, we're looking for a cloudy afternoon. As I mentioned, a few peaks of sunshine may be possible. A few spritzes and sprinkles and flakes are widely scattered. Temperatures still remaining in the 30s. For tonight, cloudy, but after midnight, the snow will begin to move in. I expect it to produce some accumulation between 3 a.m. and 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, just in time for rush hour. About 1 to 2 inches are possible. The high tomorrow during the day, 35 degrees. It should end by late morning into the afternoon hours. On Saturday, we are looking for partly sunny skies with a high of 34, and that's before another disturbed area of weather moves in on Sunday with rain, and it may try to begin as snow or freezing rain with a high of 36 degrees. So a little snow tomorrow morning, Frank, could make the roads a little bit slippery.
All right, thanks for the advice. We'll be watching for that. Thank you very much, Noreen. Newswatch 16 Midday continues in a moment with more on the teams getting ready for the 1984 Winter Olympics. Today, Jay Kristopher will show you how the U.S. bobsled team is getting ready for Sarajevo. We'll be right back.
I'm Mike Stevens on the Pennsylvania Road for Newswatch 16, and I meet a lot of interesting people. A maker of some interesting gadgets, a very special group of bell ringers, a builder of some very fine furniture, competitors in a rather unusual contest. Those are just some of the folks I've met so far. I hope you'll join me for a visit with some others on the Pennsylvania Road on Newswatch 16.
Welcome back, everyone. We've been doing some slalom skiing today. You're taking us bobsledding, is that right?
Yes, there's going to be an assortment of winter activities at the Winter Games. The start of the 1984 Winter Olympics is only 5 weeks away, but the competition to pick many of the athletes to represent the U.S. is just beginning. Roger Coffin has more on the bobsled competition.
The United States is not one of your traditional world powers in the sport of bobsledding. For one thing, there isn't a lot of snow and ice around to practice on. But the U.S. Navy bobsled team isn't letting small details stop them. Practicing with a bobsled on wheels, the Navy team has won the last 2 U.S. national titles and recently placed 6th in a world-class competition. Their next goal is the 1984 Olympics.
This is it. We've had more support this year. The Navy's backed us all the way. We've had a lot of time to train, and the equipment is the best. So we've been national champions 2 years in a row now. We're going for it again this year, get on the Olympic team and put our best foot forward.
The 84 Olympics will be the best chance the U.S. has at a medal since the 1930s. This team has been working together for the past 3 years under the guidance of the Swiss.
Our training program has progressed a lot this last year because of the Swiss. The Swiss movement taught us that technique is more important than that strength. We have the strength. Now we have to refine our technique.
Going for the gold takes on a whole new meaning as the United States becomes newly competitive in an old sport. From Norfolk, Virginia, I'm Roger Cawthon reporting for ABC News.
Well, the Mats were busy last night at the Wilkes College gym as the Colonels of John Reese muscle their way to their second win of the season, defeating Indiana State 31-18. Wilkes in blue with a gold trim. This is the 126-pound class. Here we'll see Doug Billig in a pin over Dave Shutter of Indiana State. Wilkes was leading at this point early on, 12-0. Then we shift to the 134-pound class. Indiana's Chris Campbell pins Doug Colina of Wilkes College. Now Wilkes' lead is cut to 12-6. And then we'll go up to the 142-pound class momentarily. Chuck Troiani of Indiana State. Decisions Wilkes John Cherry, 12-10 Wilkes. The Colonels win it in the late going, 31-18. Well, down the street, the Monarchs of King's College had to go into an overtime period to defeat Albany State in basketball last night, 60-59. For the first 3 minutes of the overtime period, Albany State controlled the game. They tried for a bucket and missed, setting up an Ed Moyer shot with 1:17 left on the clock to give the Monarchs the 1-point victory. Kings trailed by as much as 9 points in the second half, but tied the contest at 58 with 13 seconds to go, I might add. Kings 60, Albany State 59. In college basketball last night at Raleigh, North Carolina, 5th-ranked Maryland opened its ACC schedule with a 59-55 win over 12th-ranked North Carolina State. The Terrapins, now 9-1, opened an 8-point lead at 47-39 on a jumper by Keith Gatlin. But when Lorenzo Charles hit on this follow-up shot with less than 2 minutes left on the board, the score was tied at 53. Now, Herman Veal was then fouled. He had canned a 1-1, and the Terrapins never were headed after that. Let's go to the NBA scoreboard, plugging that in. Boston defeats Washington 113-104. New Jersey gets by Atlanta 91-88. Los Angeles not too big over Cleveland 106-99, a 7-point win right there. Elsewhere in the NBA, Detroit 128, Phoenix 114. Indiana hustles by Chicago 102-89. Dallas eases by Seattle 105-102. A couple of other games, Utah scrambles against Houston 116-111. San Diego ekes out a victory over Kansas City 122-121. To the National Hockey League, Buffalo skates big by Winnipeg 9-4. It was a narrow victory. Rangers over New Jersey 4-3. Chicago skates by Toronto 5-1. Edmonton big over Minnesota, high-scoring game there 12-8. And Vancouver skates to a 3-3 tie against Los Angeles. Keeping tabs on Edmonton Oilers center Wayne Gretzky. He continues his record-breaking scoring spree. Last night he hit for 4 goals and assisted on 4 others in leading Edmonton by Minnesota 12-8. Here's his numbers. In 41 games, he has 47 goals, 78 assists for a total of 125 points. He also has an assist in 17 of his last games. That's a new NHL record also. So Gretzky on his way, as we mentioned yesterday, Frank, to some kind of classification in the Hall of Fame.
You know, I've been watching Olympics for years, and I just remembered how much I like bobsledding because it's so fast. That's going to be pretty exciting.
It is super fast.
Thank you. That was a good report. Thank you. Newswatch 16 Midday continues in a moment with another live report on some court cases going on right now. We'll be back with an update in a moment as Newswatch 16 Midday continues.
Water. There's not a drop to drink. Giardiasis. What is it? How do you treat it? More than 115,000 people in northeastern Pennsylvania have been affected by suspected contamination. More than 100 people have giardiasis. Tomorrow night at 8, WNEP-TV presents a special program on this issue. You can call in your questions live to a panel of experts. What will be done? How will it affect you? Call your questions in tomorrow night at 8 as WNEP-TV 16 presents Giardiasis, Not a Drop to Drink.
I'm Frank Andrews. Enjoy your day. We'll see you tomorrow.